Hey there, and welcome to this episode of Instant Impact with Elise Archer. I am so glad that you are here. And guys, if you are looking to find a way to be more competitive online and to build a stronger online brand, then today's episode is for you. So I have got a guest on the podcast today who is someone who I have really enjoyed getting to know and work with over the past year. His name is Glenn Pash. He is a client of mine, and he's also the CEO of a company called PCG Digital. They're a digital marketing agency up in New Jersey, and they work primarily with dealerships to help them generate more qualified leads. But if you do not run a dealership, I don't want you to tune out, because I'll tell you, the reason why I wanted to have Glenn on the podcast today was really, I should say the reasons, they were twofold. One is that I know a lot of people listening and a lot of the clients I work with, they also run a company. It's when I think about my client base, I would say maybe half are like solopreneurs. They're running their own thing. They're in charge of both generating leads and then servicing them. And then there's also this group of people who are running larger corporations, and they want to build their personal brand, but they're not sure how to do it in conjunction with the company brand that they're also in charge of. And so Glenn is someone who has done a really phenomenal job of building and leveraging his personal brand to drive leads for his corporate brand. So we talk a lot about that. But then beyond that too, he is brilliant when it comes to all things digital marketing. And so I really wanted to hear from him about the tactical steps that he's taken to grow his own personal brand and what he does with his daily and weekly social media content plan. But then also, what can we as business owners and entrepreneurs and people looking to build our brands be thinking about and be focusing on to be competitive online, to cut through the noise and to be more present and relevant. And so we really dig in. Glenn shares so much generously in this episode about how he's done it and how you can do it too. And I think you are going to love learning from him. So guys, get ready to be awed, be inspired by the generous wisdom that Glenn shares with us on this episode of the podcast. Glenn Pash, thank you so much for joining me on the Instant Impact podcast. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be part of this.
I am excited too. And in the pre-chat, you just told me that you did a 3.5-hour podcast recently. So I have, I have promised you I will not keep you for that long. However, to me, that's like, this man has a lot of value to give. And you can talk.
Yeah, it was a long conversation. We covered a lot. I went in knowing that it was a long format podcast, but I thought that was an hour, until the host said, "You've broken the record. You're 3 hours." I'm going, oh my God, how long have we been talking here?
I know. Yeah, I would say you've probably broken many podcast records now. So, yeah, so we will probably not talk as long, but we will have at least as much fun. And I'm just excited to have you on the show today, because when I think of some of the things that stand out to me about you and what you're really good at, and some things that I think you can speak to and add value on for my audience, are one, like growing your personal brand in conjunction with your corporate brand. Right. And then also just the fact that you're a genius in all things digital marketing. And I know that my people have a lot of questions on best practices. What are the things they should be doing? What are the things, like the trends they need to be paying attention to? So I really want to dig into both of those with you, and just share your expertise with my audience. So first thing I think would be useful to spend a little bit of time on is, when I work with entrepreneurs on their personal brand, some of them, it's a one-man shop or a one-woman shop, and it's like, it's just them and that's all they've got. And then I've got this other group of clients, and we've got another group of people listening who they run an organization. They may have 5 team members, 10, 100, 200. And a lot of times questions come up in that context of, well, how much should I promote my personal brand versus my corporate brand? And is it selfish for me? I was having this conversation with a client recently where he was like, I feel selfish about really building my own brand rather than the company brand. And so I've seen you do this really well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, how do you approach building your personal brand in relation to the company brand of PCG Digital?
Great question. So it's been an evolution. We grew our business. So my brother and I worked together, and we built our business realizing that we were at that time, a very small shop. We probably had, our agency, our digital agency, maybe had 10 people when I joined. But at that time, early, 2010-ish, we sort of stumbled into certain verticals. And one of the verticals we stumbled into was automotive. And at that time, there were forums where people at night would just write and comment back and forth about SEO and marketing and so people started to see our voice, so to speak, and then also standing up on stage speaking. And so we started going, well, the only way people are going to know who we are is get onto a stage and speak. I thought about that too when I first started. Before I even joined my brother, I was at an event. I was doing work in the customer service call center industry. And I remember sitting in a workshop and the person was up there doing training. And that was something at that time I did as well. And I was talking to somebody next to me and they said, oh, I have to go talk to that person. I said, well, I do this too. You know, we were talking, oh, well, they're in front of the room, so they must be the expert. And it always stuck with me that said, well, I have to figure out how to get in front of the room. So people look at me that way. So it's a delicate balance. I think you have to also understand your industry. But I think we're pivoting more and more that people like to have a face for a company. I think people, we don't like working. If you think about it, insurance agencies, and nothing against them, that just came to mind, or even large corporations, your sense of whether you like that company or not is based on the people you interact with. So I hear it a lot with larger agencies in the automotive space. Well, I like my rep. I like my account manager, but that has nothing to do with the organization. So I think it's a delicate balance of how to promote yourself, get out there so that they build comfort that you are the company. And I know to the gentleman, or I think it was a gentleman who said, I feel selfish. I understand that. I did too for a while until it clicks to say, no, you are the brand. You are the company. That's who they want to connect with. Then you can turn around and go, look at all my friends here. Look at all my team. They're going to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really agree with your approach there. And one of the things that we talk about a lot at Brand Builders is like, people don't follow companies as much as they follow people. Mm-hmm. And if we think about the way that our brains are naturally wired, if you're, doing the Instagram scroll, you're going to be more likely to stop at a picture of a human face than you are at a company logo. And so it's when I think about what you've done and the way that you've done it, I think you've done it really well. And we've actually taken a similar approach with our own personal brands. And then our company brand at Brand Builders is you have your own separate website that's glenpash.com. But then you also drive over to the company site, which is, I think for anyone who's listening who has a thought of, maybe like they want to at least be in a position where one day they could sell or they could exit and the whole company doesn't have to rely totally on their personal brand, because that can harm you, right? If you're looking to sell at some point, the more the company relies on you, the less you're going to be able to sell for. But we've thought about that intentionally with Brand Builders, where we've got a separate brandbuilders.com site, and then we've got our own personal sites as well. So there's this distinction, but the personal brand is the thing that most people will pay attention to, and then you can use that as a lead generator for whatever business on the back end is like your revenue engine or revenue stream.
That's how I found how we connected, how we found Brand Builders was listening to Rory on a podcast talking about what he had done for Lewis Howes. And I said, oh, and I had heard of Rory, but I didn't really understand what he did. And then that propelled me down to find your company website and said, oh, that's interesting. Right. And then you and I connected and we talked and that whole approach. But I definitely think you're right. No matter how big the company is, there's still a face of the company. You can think of Microsoft. It was, Mr. Gates, and then then they moved. He still was part of it, and then it was Steve Ballmer or whatever. But it was still, you always knew that was that person owned that company. Mm-hmm. And so, no matter how small or large, and even the one-person shop, that's the way you have to build your company. It is going to be you. And then eventually you find other people to go along that journey with you. But all of those companies, everybody forgets, all of those companies, no matter how big it started with one person. It started with one person, and they were the ones who went in and sold, and they were the one in the neighborhood who, oh, you're looking for X? That's that person. You're looking for this? That's that person. And then it evolved to the company, but it still starts that way.
Love it. Totally agree. And there's one other thing you said too that I think is really important, which is when people start paying attention to you and your brand, then you can kind of turn and say, and look at all my friends. And I love that. And it reminds me of an interview that I heard recently with one of my other clients, who's a woman named Heather Monahan, and she was interviewing Gary Vaynerchuk. And he
Right.
said something that really stuck with me because they were talking about this same concept, because his personal brand, I think, is pretty much everyone would agree is bigger than his company brand of VaynerMedia. And so she was asking him, how do you think about that? Like, is it selfish for you to focus more on your personal brand than on the brand of the company? What happens if you die? Like, what happens to all your people? And he said, my people are going to be set up for life because they've worked at my company, because they are affiliated with me. And he's like, it sounds a little egotistical, and maybe it is, but it's true. Because they are affiliated with me, they get job opportunities all day long of people wanting them to come work with them. And he said, when I die, they're set. They're going to immediately have 10 different opportunities they could jump into. And so I think it's that mindset of leadership that I know you speak and talk about a lot as well, is just like the building of your brand actually really supports and helps all the people who are behind you or working with you as well.
Well, the reflection of, as I said earlier, when you have a good account manager for a company, you think that's the way, it is. And then all of a sudden you get switched and you have someone who's less, you don't connect with, your impression of the company starts to dwindle. So in the point of Gary, everyone, his personal brand about high standards and I'm going to help people, and he doesn't suffer people who aren't going to work hard, right? So he's made it very clear, people on my team have to really work hard, and you got to put in, because he does it. And so I think, to your point, anyone who's on there or has that on their resume is good. That means you look, other employers are going to look at it and say, well, their quality of work has to be pretty good, or they have to work really hard, or else they wouldn't have ever stayed there for a period of time. And
Totally.
so I think for anyone building their personal brand, everything about your personal brand is going to say that's the way they're going to view your company, right? And it can't be, there's no disconnect. And if there is, then people go, it's the old bait and switch. Well, you thought this, but when I dealt with your company, I got this. I don't like that. So it's really not an easy dance to do, but I think it's easier to move. It's hard to describe a company. As you said, no one falls in love with the building. No one falls in love with a logo. We identify with logos, but that's because somewhere along the line we connected with it either personally or someone and they delivered consistency over and over and over and over and over again. And we go, oh, we like that. But I think it is a delicate dance, but you can't do it. I don't think you can do it without personal brand. Somebody in your company needs to be the face out there, visible, so people connect the company to a person.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Now, so one of the things I wanted to, and some of this is kind of a selfish question because I want to know for myself, but I think it'll be of service to everyone listening too, is when it comes to your personal strategy for your social media, I see you showing up all the time. You're on IGTV, you're on LinkedIn, you're on my Instagram feed, you're on Facebook. So
Right.
I would love to know from you, like as nitty gritty and as tactical as you can make it, what is your system for your social media? Do you have a content calendar that you're creating every month? Is there is it more winging it, but you've got to show up on this platform twice a day, or like walk us through the kind of the behind the scenes of all of your personal social?
Okay. So I used to wing it, not wing it. I would get enthusiastic about it and do things, but the day-to-day of running a company, right? So going back to the person who said they're a one-person shop or you have a couple people, you're running the day-to-day of your business, and sometimes your head is down and you're running the business, and all of a sudden you pick your head up and go, oh, I forgot I got to promote myself, right? I got to promote myself for the company, or I have to sell, and I'm delivering what I have to for the client. So it took me a while, and what ultimately, it comes down to my team, who is way smarter than me, and Denise, who you met, who is now, we just promoted to being president and COO of the agency. I sat with her after actually our interaction. I said, okay, I need help. How are you going to promote me? And she built me a calendar. She just told me not so much what to do, but so in very gritty tactical. It was literally Sunday, you need to. So every day it was a post on Facebook. So you had to do post on Facebook, post on LinkedIn, something on Instagram, and something on, let's see, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, because those are the ones I did. I don't do Snapchat. I just doesn't understand. And even Instagram, I post a lot, as you said, on Instagram, video format. I just don't, I'm not great at stories yet. That's the least of mine, but also I don't think my audience right now is there. So that's also part of it, is taking a step back and saying, where do I either have the biggest audience, where have I seen, or where is my audience end user wise, right? So if I'm doing more B2B, that's probably going to be more LinkedIn than it is Instagram, where some of the other people on our team who has a bigger audience on Instagram. And again, we'll build it, but I'm trying to make messaging to where it is. So first off, where is your audience? Where are you comfortable? I'd rather you do one platform correctly than try to do 4 platforms and get overwhelmed and go, I don't know what to do. So that's number one. Number two is making the content for each one. So I still do sometimes, if I think it's a relevant video, I'll post it on Facebook and maybe LinkedIn, but I create a separate one and I talk and say, hey, Instagram, here's you, or hey, LinkedIn, here's you. So I'm talking to them so they know I made this video for you versus I'm taking videos and just taking one picture and pushing it out. Now, I've done that for Expedia. So that's that. Number two is find some sort of platform to share your content, be it I use Sprout Social, Buffer people use, and a few other ones. I just found Sprout Social to be easier for me to use, and we use it as the company. So I spend Sunday mornings having my coffee, loading up content for the next week. There are a couple different ways I do it. I will have standard content, right? So I wrote a blog, so that's going out. I share my team's blogs. I share articles that I find interesting that I think would be helpful to people, my audience, so to speak. And I schedule them out. And those are scheduled ones that will go out throughout the week based on each platform. The tool will also give you some optimal times. Sometimes I play around with it and test it and listen. Sometimes I don't. So I do that. And then actively each day, I will tweet something or I'll post a picture. So that way it's just not, oh, I did it, leave it alone, because at the end of the day, social media is social. Other tip would be anybody who likes or interacts. Liking is a hard one, but anybody who interacts with you and leaves a message, please respond back to them, even thank them for that. So that's the framework. So what I do is Monday the focus is I write a blog every week that I send to my team to edit, make me sound, make sure it makes sense. Post it on Monday. So I send it to them, they edit it, they will post it out on our website. They will send me the links, all with the UTM tag done, or I can do it myself. They create little quote cards that I've been using now on Instagram, and they'll have a header image if I want to put it on somewhere else. So that comes to me, it's done. So then that goes into my rotation. But then my video on Monday is I pushed a video out, Monday kickoff or something to say, hey, my blog is just loaded. Here's one of the 3 things, one of the 3 tips. So a video goes out now in rotation about that. Tuesday then becomes the quote card about the blog. LinkedIn is an article from maybe one of our team, right? So it's scheduled. Wednesday is promoting the team's blogs. Thursday is another quote card, the second quote card about the blog, driving people, hey, connect with me, pitching, connect with me. Friday might be the video of the Friday wrap up. Saturday is talking about speaking. Where am I going to speak? Sunday is, hey, it's more personal. Look, I'm cooking. Hey, I'm just hanging out with the family. And that happens every single week. So I have a weekly one and monthly, but so that framework of what I should do every day, then I can just plug in the new content, repeat, wash, but I have this written out, and it's just helped. I can share it with you because it's not proprietary. I send it to you, and then you can play around with it. But it helped me be consistent, where even if I missed a day or something, I got to get back on that. And it just puts you on this constant schedule of content, to your point. Then over time, people start seeing you and connecting you. And, all of a sudden I see people when I'm at conferences, they'll go, oh, I really like your content. I'm seeing you more. And I like this. Do more of that. You start seeing what people are watching. You're seeing what you're connecting. You start pivoting it, but you got to have a schedule, or else you're going to wake up and you go, I didn't do anything this week. And it's really about consistency. And the last thing, long-winded answer, is you got to think about a year from now. Don't worry about the views. Don't worry about it. I mean, I look at it and go, how come? Now, you can study it to say, how come this one didn't get as many views as this one? It could be the title. It could be, you can start seeing that, oh, they like this type of content more than this. Could be time of day. You start learning, oh, the videos should go out on Tuesday at 11. I get more engagement than if I push it out at 12 or 1. That's more of a science than it's not working. But the only way you're going to build any sort of audience is a year from now. And you got to just do it. Just put your head down and go, I'm going to do this. Not worry about it, and wake up a year from now and go, okay. But still at the end of every month, look back and go, what worked, what didn't work, what can I do better, but just never stop. So I hope that helps in the nuts.
So helpful. So helpful. And I love what you said about think about a year from now, because I don't think I've ever heard anyone think about it that way, or at least talk about it that way, because we can get demoralized if we do a post and it only gets 25 or 50 likes, and we're used to getting 100, and it's right. That short-term thinking. But it's so part of what I'm hearing from you is the balance of being available to analyze and to engage and make real-time changes, but still having the long-term perspective that, hey, I'm building a repository. Like, I am building an entire online brand that, big picture wise, when I look back a year from now, I'm going to have a massive presence. Like, for someone who's just starting, if you did this consistently every day for a year, you have a massive presence in a year. And it's just a matter of that consistency, which is where most people get tripped up. So
for us also, the one thing, I mean, I'm lucky because I have a team of people. We do this for companies. So I asked Denise, I said, I want somebody to work with me, one person or two. And I sat with her. Her name's Sarah. She's wonderful. And I said, treat me as if I was a client. Treat me as if I was a client. So that means at the end of the month, report to me what results we got. So treat me like a client. Now, for some people who will say, yeah, that sounds great, Glenn, but I don't have a team behind me. It's me. Okay. But build your network. Go find someone who is a marketer, or I'd be more than happy to bounce any ideas, or if any of your audience wants to talk about this, how to connect them to me, and I will spend time with them and walk them through it. That's easy. But being able to do that, or going online and saying, well, what should I look at? Just type into YouTube, how do I look for this? I listen to that sometimes when I'm on the treadmill. How do I create better Instagram ads, or how do I create better Facebook? Just listen and look, or what metrics should I do? And that's going to help you. But the key is, nothing's going to work. Even if something did work right now, the key is, why did it work? And it may not next. And to your point is, don't get discouraged. Think a year from now. Think 2 years from now. You're building a business. You are the business, and visibility. And it's more clogged as it's ever been. So it's really about be laser focused on, what are you trying to talk about? What value? You say it all the time, which I appreciate when I watch your videos and I watch your interactions and your podcast. What value am I bringing to the audience? If I come to it as I'm trying to help somebody, here's somebody that needs help and I'm helping them, versus, hey, look how smart I am. Nobody wants to look at people going, look how smart I am. But if I'm helping you, then that connects. So keep that focus as well.
Yeah. And it's really, it can be a slippery slope with personal brands too, because so much of it is you that you can turn into kind of the me monster where
Right.
it's all about you. It's, you go to someone's website and it's, look how good I look and look how, look at these awards I've won. And while I think people do want to know who you are, and that's part of why personal branding is so powerful, the real magic comes when everything is still really focused on who's in my audience. And I think that's part of the power. I know like you guys do this, we do this, is having an avatar, having someone who you're thinking about when you're creating that content. And
Right.
this may sound a little out there, but one of the things I try to do is I literally like try to feel what they're feeling right then and create like a heart connection with that person, so that when I go create content, like even right now, it's like, I know in my mind who I'm creating this for, and in my mind who we're having this conversation for. And it helps. I think it helps you stay motivated when you don't feel like creating content. And it also helps you connect better with
Yeah.
people as
I think
well.
you
Yeah.
think about it. I, I'm somebody, the person who had the 3.5 hour podcast when we are sitting there, he paid me a really good compliment, which I've heard before. And it always makes me go, okay, I'm on the right track. He said, you speak and talk in ways that people can just nod their head and go, I totally understand what you're saying. You're not talking over anyone's head. And I said, well, that's the way my brain works. I need to understand how to do something with what I hear. Right. And so I always try to provide that. So to your people, it's thinking about it in real life terms. How would you talk to somebody if they were sitting in front of you? If they asked you this question at a cocktail party or a picnic, or whether it was a friend or not a friend, how would you approach that? What type of people do we avoid at cocktail parties? The people who all just talk about how great I am. They name drop. Well, I went to this school and I did this. And let me tell you about my story. After a while, you're okay and you walk away, versus someone who said, oh, let me listen to what you actually asked me. And here's my opinion. Here's what I would do. That's a whole different approach than tell me how great I am versus let me help you. And I think the more that anyone, your audience or anyone, that's my focus, is that as soon as the lights are on, like this podcast is not about me, it's about your audience. And same thing when I've seen you speak to your audience and it's never about you. You're not sitting there going, oh, look how great I am. It's let me help you. And that's why you get asked back. That's why people reach out to you, because you're approachable. So I think it's the cocktail party sort of concept of who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that everyone walks away from? Or do you want to all of a sudden look around and you've got a crowd of 10 people listening to you because
Mm.
you're actually answering someone's question?
Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, Glenn, because you do a lot of work with video for your brand. And I know some people listening, they are rock stars on video. They go live and they have zero issues and they love the camera. And then I also know there's a lot of people listening who they feel like they need to be doing video and they know the power of it. But there's a lot of insecurity that sometimes pops up when we go live or hit record. And that can be a real challenge for a lot of people. So for you, was that ever something you had to get past and like get comfortable with video, or have you just always been a natural on it and it wasn't an issue? Like, I'd love to hear how you've really mastered video for your brand.
I I was an actor for a while, and so I was a stage actor. So I always look at it as, if you can act on stage, 8 o'clock shows going on, no matter how you feel, here we go, and things go wrong. So you still have to adapt. So that piece has always been, nothing bothers me. If the PowerPoint behind me blows up, we just keep going. So that doesn't bother me. Video was more learning the technical things for myself, where to watch. So I'm always really conscious of going, where is my eye supposed to go? So I don't look, hi, how are you? Right? That weird thing. But I think actually video now has been more freeing for myself or for anyone, because we're not being judged on the quality.
Hmm.
It can't be everything can't be super jarring, and but it also doesn't have to be hyper produced, because I think there's this edge now where people almost are starting to go, if it's too super produced, do I really trust them? right? And the other thing is when people worry about how they look, I understand that, but if someone's going to meet you eventually, right? So if you're all dolled up, or guys or girls, and it's all this perfect thing, and all of a sudden you walk in, they're going, well, that's not you. I'd rather them go, that's me. And so for me, again, I've always been told when I speak or video and then someone meets me, you're exactly the same as you are there. And so that to me, I don't change. Now, looking at what you've done just in this frame, I think that's great. If you're going to have a podcast or you're going to have you want to say this is a set time, then build your set behind. That's something I'm working on right now is if I'm going to certain videos, not all of mine, because I do record when I'm walking or I'm talking. I think if you're going to say, hey, Monday, this is my one video. A good friend of mine, Corey Mosley, always said, have one place and that's your anchor video. Now you can still do live, you can do this, but if you're always on the move, then they don't know where. They'd rather have an anchor for you. So that's one thing. But I don't think, I think you just got to try it. Just put the camera up, do it a bunch of times. Just understand you will always hate how your voice sounds. Just you hear it differently than in your head than you hear. You're going to think you talk with your hands too much or you move. It's practice. Just do it enough times that you don't think about it. And I think it goes back to the key of if you look at the camera and maybe have somebody there and just talk to them, it takes it out. It is hard for people to look at a camera and go, that's a person, then put a picture underneath it and talk to them. I know it's weird, but those are little tricks that you can do to get past it.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so helpful. And I think it all stems back to having the attitude of how can I really help and
Right.
creating that. And I think it probably just takes some practice, but creating like some emotional connection with
Sure.
the person who is the invisible person on the other side of the camera. But I like the idea too of having the anchor. I hadn't thought about that. Like have one thing that's kind of your brand that you're known for, maybe like for your talking head thought leadership videos, and then out and about throughout the week, you're showing up on stories or on lives, and while you're on the road, it's a different background. So that's it's a cool branding play that I hadn't thought about.
Even in yours, if this is your anchor for you, then eventually your logo for your podcast, having it somewhere in the back. Again, these are tricks I see from other people. Is the gentleman Corey Mosley has his name carved out of wood, but it looks like a for books, right? Whatever they call them.
Totally like a bookend.
Yeah, bookend. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
But it's his name.
Oh,
so when you're looking at him, you see his name in the back, so you always remember that. Or if when he rebranded his podcast, he had a little plate or some sort of thing with his logo there, so you knew who it was. So little things like that. And then another thing that I just thought of, for someone who's really wants to do video and is afraid of it, you might want to do this, is get a friend, sit across get two friends, you need two, or just put a camera up on a tripod, frame it, and just have a conversation with your friend. Don't look at the camera. Just talk to your friend about who cares what it is, and then watch it. And you go, oh, I don't sound bad. I don't look nervous, right? Because I'm not thinking about the camera anymore. That's why some people, they have somebody follow them around or film. You're more relaxed because you're not worried about the camera. And once you do that and you see that, you go, oh, I'm not that bad on camera. It's when you stand in front of the camera and go, what am I supposed to say? But again, the other tip is whenever you're doing videos, just scripting is hard. You can't remember it. But if you add, what's the point, right? If you have a purpose, what's point B? I always say this to my team. What's point B? Why are we doing this video? Why are we doing anything? So to your point, we're doing this for this. This is what I want my audience to get, this, and this. Great. Then all you do is remember that and talk to them. Yeah. But I think that might help your people who are really afraid of video. Literally, when you guys do your brand building workshops that we were a part of, is I bet you anybody if you ask somebody part of your pre-qualifying saying, are you comfortable on video? Anybody who says, no, not really, I haven't really done it, I need to do it, but I'm afraid of it, just have somebody film them while they're talking to you and then show it to them and say, why can't you do video? Look how natural you look. It'll flip them and they'll go, oh, I do look. See what I'm saying? So that might help.
I really like that. That's like ninja level hack that I hadn't even thought of. We'll call that the Glenn.
We'll do
this. So a couple final questions here. Since everything you do is so like ahead of the curve and cutting edge with just digital media in general, is there anything that those of us who are looking to build our brands online need to be thinking about, or need to be like aware of? Any best practices that you would recommend for people wanting to kind of cut through the noise as we go into, now it's like halfway through 2019 and then go into 2020? Anything you'd recommend?
A couple things. One is, if you have your own website, whoever built it, make sure that you have someone you trust, if you do it, or the agency that you got it from, or whoever built it, that you have proper SEO. I know, search engine optimization, so that whatever your industry is or whatever you want to be found for. So again, in simple terms, if you think of it this way, when somebody, what do I want to be found, or when do I want my website to come up? If somebody's typing in this, I'd like to show up, work with them and so really make sure of that. Number two is always type in your name and Google yourself over and over every once a month to see what's showing up. Three is just that consistency. But the other one is tracking, right? Google UTM, Google UTM. So tagging. So again, there's a Google URL builder so that you can track where you're coming from. So meaning that when you put a link, right? So if you were doing an email blast and you were saying, click on this link, if you just put the URL for the website, right? Brandbuilders.com, right? Brandbuilders.com, is that it? Yep.
We actually, it has been thebrandbuildersgroup.com, but we just bought brandbuildersgroup.com. So depending on when people listen to this.
Right. So if you go
brandbuildersgroup.com is safe.
We'll go future. Brandbuilders.com. If you just put that there, or even if you go to Bitly or something and just shrink it down, if you don't tag it correctly, when it gets into analytics and you see all of this traffic coming to your website, you don't know where it came from. So if you go into the UTM tagging, and it'll basically say, okay, here's the URL, brandbuildersgroup.com. The source, well, was Google or Facebook or whatever, or it was my CRM, and where was the medium? That was an email blast, or that was a social media post, right? And what was the campaign? Well, it was this, and you tag it, it'll give you a whole new URL that then you can drop in. So your Facebook posts all should be tagged, so you know where it's going. If you're doing your emails, where is it going? If you're buying it. So that way, you just in your analytics don't get a big chunk that says other. You're going, well, what was that? I have no idea where that came from. So this way, if you're spending money on email, you're spending money on social media advertising, you're spending money. So this way also, even if you did social media ads, you can say this was a video ad. So you can put in campaign, or you can put notes to say this was a video. This was just a text ad. And so this way you say, oh, the video ads did better than the text, or in this time the text did better than this. We can go back. So analyzing your data in analytics, that is so important, so you know where your money's being spent, what's working for you, and then this way, if something's not working, you can analyze it to say, well, what do we need to change? And especially if you're using an agency, better be asking them those same questions, not just how many people came to my website. What did they do when they got there? How many phone calls did you get from me? How many forms did you get? If I'm paying somebody to do that, I need to know that. But even for the one-timers, even the one shop, it's really easy to find. Again, if you have any questions in this and you're going, hey, Glenn, you lost me, you just reach out and tell them to come to me and I'll walk them all through it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think just having that mindset of really being willing to get into the details and the numbers is going to be the difference for people who keep their personal brand kind of like a hobby and those who turn it into a true business. And
Sure.
as you're talking, what you're sharing is resonating with me because I am not naturally inclined to want to look at numbers or analytics. I'm very much a feeling person. Does it feel right? Does everything feel like it's working to me? Which can can serve me in a lot of ways, but
Right.
then that's been one of the big just like disciplines that I've been practicing this year is really tracking and being willing to look at the numbers. And if it like it's like if you're not someone who naturally likes to do that and you know you're going to let yourself off the hook, get someone to do it for you. Like treat
Exactly.
yourself, think about where do you want to be revenue wise next year, who are the right people to have on your team who are going to help you get there. Someone like your team can come in and help people do that. And so it's having the discipline to treat this, to give yourself the proper support that you need, right, to get to that next level. So
And there are courses. We have online courses that teach everybody how to do it. So it's not,
oh, that's cool, I
oh,
didn't
you
know that.
work, but yeah, you can got to come work as an agency. And we have free resources. So that whole UTM tag, there's a free guide on one of our websites, pcgresearch.com, that it's free. You just download it and it shows you literally how to do it. Or you just type it in and say, how, go into Google and say, how do I tag my emails? How do I tag this? And it'll just walk you through it. And then, but that's the key. You need to do it so you know what's working. And especially if you're spending money on it, you need to know, or else feelings, as I said, one of my quote cards was, my data doesn't care about your emotions, right? So you can
True.
feel however you want. You can feel it's great. And oh, that people loved it because I loved it. And you go, well, no one came to your website from that. Oh, well, that didn't work.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So
This is true. Yeah, it's like a little bit of a punch to the gut, but it's so true.
I manage my numbers. Numbers
Right?
all happen.
All day long. Hey, I just want to, as we wrap here, I first want to thank you for how much you shared. Like one of the biggest things that I believe in my intention with this podcast is that we can make an instant impact by giving more of ourselves and by
Sure.
giving really generously. And I think you've been just an example of that today in sharing everything you know with people. So I really want everyone listening to think about how they can do that with the content that they create and with how they share is just like, how can I give the way that Glenn gave in this episode. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
And beyond that, I would love for people to know how to connect with you. And I also know you've got an event coming up. So if you could share with people where they can find you online and then more about your upcoming event, that would be fantastic.
Well, you can find me on all the social platforms, just my name, Glenn Pash. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. Connect with me, please. And as I said, I have people reaching out to me all the time to just ask questions. I don't run the clock. I don't charge. I just want to help people get better. If they want services, we can always have that conversation. But to me, I have a lot. I spend at least a few hours every single week talking to people just like that. How did I do that? I did this. Can you look at this? If I can help you in any way, it's easy to find me. So yeah, you can connect with me on any of those platforms. And yes, the upcoming in July 24th and 25th in New Jersey. You can find the information on my website, glennpash.com. What I found as I travel with and work with businesses, some of the people who lead teams usually get the least amount of training.
Hmm.
And they're promoted and they're trying to figure it out and they have all this pressure to get results, but nobody ever taught them how to lead a team or build a team and coach a team. So I have an online course, but everyone who went through the online course would always say, could we do this live? So can you help me implement this for me? How do I take what you taught me and do it? So I put a 2-day event on. And then that's what we're going to do. We're going to limit it to 30 people so I can really roll up our sleeves and work with them. And over the course of the 2 days, we're going to be focusing on things like if you were promoted from within, you used to be on the team, now you're leading the team. What are the obstacles? If you were brought in from the outside, how to communicate, how to coach, how to build processes, how to hold people accountable without driving them out. Right. And other things like that. So there's a lot of information on the website. I'm excited. So again, please come if you need that. Come on, let's go have some fun.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. There's so much power just getting in the room with other people. It's a different energy, it's a different experience. And I've seen how you lead your team. And I know people are going to learn so much from being a part of that. So I think definitely, guys, like if you are looking to be a better leader for your people and be supported in that way, check this event out. And I should say too, your last name, because some people may not know how to spell it, they may mess it up, but it's Pasch. So it's
Yeah.
glenpash.com. So
Glenn with two N's, Pasch.
yep, yep. So, hey, thank you again so much for your time, for the honor of your presence and your wisdom here, and I'm grateful to you for sharing all of this today. So, thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm so excited for you. I love, since getting to know you and meet you, you're starting to show up all over the place too. So, and I'm just excited for what you're doing here. I think this is incredibly valuable, and I'm excited for you as well, and for what you're doing. And we appreciate it as well.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Take